Racing Festival, and this is Good Morning Dublin, yes, with David Jennings, Paul Kealy, Kevin O'Ryan and Frank Hickey. What a team we've assembled at 8:30 in the morning. Big drinkers amongst them as well, so we did well to get them out of bed, let me tell you. Paul Kealy, welcome to Dublin. How are you?
Yeah, very well. Yeah, had a bit of a busy day yesterday.
Oh.
Yeah, early flight. We met a few ladies on the plane and ended up...
Keep it clean now, it's 8:30 in the morning, okay?
In the airport bar for about 3 hours before even leaving the airport. So I had to sleep off in the afternoon, but I'm ready to go now.
Did it affect your studying of day one of the Dublin Racing Festival?
Not day one, no. Day two, though. I'm a bit behind.
Okay, well that's okay. If you're studying done for today. Kevin, how are you? Now, I know you've been in the wars. I was watching it last night at Dundalk, and Fran Berry gave you a good old dig at one stage when he backed the winner.
You can say that, all right. One of these days I'm definitely going to kill that Berry. I was making good progress until Fran set me back probably around 2 weeks last night. If you tried to do what he done, you wouldn't be able to do it. Back the winner, Dr. Grace, myself and Fran were well known for getting quite animated. If we do back a winner or just get beaten one, the next thing he leaps up straight across the knee, lifted me out of it. But anyway. We're back to
You're in
it.
one
So
piece anyway.
Yeah, we're in one piece, just about.
Now tell us, you're Mr. Leopardstown. Now, everybody that comes to Leopardstown, you can hear Kevin O'Ryan over the tannoy. You are Mr. Leopardstown. So in about 10 to 15 seconds, sell the Dublin Racing Festival to our brilliant viewers here. What makes these 2 days so good?
We have the best horses in Ireland. Great to see a couple of English horses coming over. Pity we don't have a few more. We need to see more coming over here. We've got 8 Grade 1s over the 2 days. Fantastic prize money, really competitive handicaps, some interesting bumpers. And it's just a brilliant weekend. Great to see so many English people coming over here. Leopardstown told me at Christmas time that the pre-sales from English people was by far and away their biggest in the 6 years. I know obviously we had 2 years behind closed doors, but it's a wonderful meeting, great weekend. Bank holiday as well, first bank holiday in Ireland this Monday. So there's loads of people coming over and staying in Dublin for the weekend. Why not come to Leopardstown? Weather's fantastic, brilliant racing. And of course, we're all here as well.
Jeez, he's good, isn't he? He's good. You should be doing my job. Well, you usually are doing my job. Today, the interviewer becomes the interviewee. So I'm going to be drilling you today.
Feeling the pressure, DJ. Feeling the pressure.
Hopefully not too much. Frank the Tank Hickey, we have a great association with you in the Racing Post over the years.
Yeah.
From the podcast years ago. One of the shrewdest judges in Ireland. And people watching will know that. It's great to have you.
Delighted to be here. Bit early, but...
Yeah, that's all right, yeah. You're getting well paid.
I wouldn't say it's shrewdest judge, probably building up a bit too.
Top 5 maybe?
No. Good at pricing races.
Okay. Well, how are your confidence levels going into today?
Today is a tricky enough card, but I'd be hopeful enough for getting a winner.
Okay, well, so are we, and that's why you're here. So fingers crossed. Just to talk you through, we're going to be here today and tomorrow from 8:30 to 9:30, so plenty of pre-racing chat for you. We're going to preview each and every one of the races here at the Dublin Racing Festival, and we're going to kick off with the opener. Yes, it is the Nathaniel Lacey sponsored novice hurdle, the first Grade 1 of the day, and it is possibly the most open grade one of the day as well, because Goodland is just about holding on to favouritism, although quite strong in the market this morning at 9 to 4. Quay de Paris, the mount of Paul Townend. There was a few people surprised, a few eyebrows raised when Paul Townend was declared on Quay de Paris. Now into 7 to 2. We've all been caught. The sole British raider is 4 to 1. It is 6 to 1 American Mike, 8 to 1 Grange Clare West, 8 to 1 Sander Clegane, a big drifter. It is 22 to 1 Absolute Notions, and also 22 to 1 Deep Cave. Well, you're our visitor, so are the visitors going to win the opener with We've All Been Caught, Paul Kealy?
I hope so, just so Nigel Tristan Davis can show them all how it's done. Because why not come over here, as Kev said, for great racing, great prize money. And, you know, all this talk about it being too close to Cheltenham, I can't have that at all. You know, the top flat horses in the world go to the Ark and then to the Breeders' Cup within the space of 4 weeks, don't they? So why not come over? They're coming over the game, and it's a wide open race, isn't it? I didn't actually see this as a race with a 9 to 4 favourite in. They're all essentially maiden hurdle winners. There's a little bit of graded form, but not much. Goodland won really well last time, but the runner-up got beat 25 lengths next time out. So, you know, there's no standout piece of form. We've all been caught. Beat a 66 to 1 shot last time, but that 66 to 1 shot wasn't a bad horse. Rock My Way, who wouldn't have been that sort of price anyway if he'd had a higher profile trainer, because Rock My Way had actually been third to what is currently the champion bumper favourite in a point before winning one. So I think it's a decent enough level of form. The money for Quay de Paris is very interesting, though, isn't it? Because there was a lot of talk about him before he ran. He was odds on. He looked a bit like a slow old boat, didn't he?
Yeah, the race was terrible. The form has worked out terrible.
Exactly, yeah.
He didn't look any good, and he's 7-2,
Well,
second
this is
favourite.
the point. Paul Townend has chosen the horse with, not arguably, very much the worst form in the race over Grange Clare West, who you could argue has got the best form in the race, with a bit of graded form in there. So it's very interesting that he's chosen them. Obviously, they're expecting to step up in trip. But he was 10-1 when the decks came out, and now he's 7-2. So you've missed the boat. I'm just going to be shouting on "We've all been caught." I think.
You're not going to have a bet in the opener?
I don't think so. No, I just want to see the British win and say, look, you can come over here, you can compete, and come and do some more.
Very well said. Well, I know one man that will be back, and we've all been caught, and that is Frank Hickey.
Yeah, backed him already.
You have backed him already?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You go through his form. His points worked out reasonably well. He won a Newbury bumper, beating Collector's Item, who's won twice over hurdle since. The Fords won a couple of times since as well. Very green on debut behind Hermé Alain. But we see what Hermé Alain did in the Grade 1 Shallow. He won extremely impressively. And We've All Been Caught was noted running on strongly that day. Look, he seemed to work really hard to win the last day, but we've seen what Rock My World's done, winning the Grade 2 at Cheltenham last weekend. So the form's been Frank's, and I think he's a horse of ability. I do think it's significant that they skipped Cheltenham to come here, and I don't think so far anyway the middle distance novice hurdlers are, maybe the strongest bunch yet. In Ireland. I might be proved wrong today, but I think there's every chance We've All Been Caught can win this.
So a lot of love for We've All Been Caught, Kevin O'Ryan. Now, I have to say, I fancied Sandra Clegane strongly for this race. And I was actually telling people during the week how 9-2 wasn't a bad price about Sandra Clegane. He's obviously was out in the beer with you last night, Keels, because Sandra Clegane is all the way out to 9-1, 8-1 now, and bigger on the exchanges. Paul Nolan won this race with the latest exhibition. This horse reminds me a bit of him. He's a slow burner. Went through bumpers. He was always going to be better when he saw a hurdle. He's going to be better when he sees a fence. I was impressed with him at Punchestown. I think he's far too big of a price, Sandra Clegane.
Yeah, I was impressed with him as well, and and he won at the time when the Paul Nolan horses just weren't sparking. But they're back in good form now again. He's had 6 or 7 winners over the last 2 months or whatever, and even the horses that are getting beat are running well. So there's the yard's form has definitely turned. I'm like Frank. I'm a Nigel Twiston-Davies here. I'm leaving the Irish flag at home. I'm cheering on the English for this. And like Paul, I really want to see an English horse win here. We don't have many runners here. Fair play to Nigel Twiston-Davies and Jamie Wenman, who owns him as well. They've set the stall out good and early, saying, right, we're coming to the Dublin Racing Festival. The rest of the English horses aren't coming over. And I think it's very important for this festival to get bigger. If we see what the Champions Weekend in the Flat is, how successful it is. We've got so many English horses coming over every year now. We've obviously got French runners as well. But to make this a bigger success than what it is already, we need more English horses coming over here and taking us on in our own front garden. I think the strongest form in the race is definitely Nigel Twiston-Davies' horses. Frank has gone through it in depth there. I think he'll take a bit of beating. I think he'll love to step up and trip, and he's open to more progression. I think he'll be very, very hard to beat. The pair of Willies are interesting. I was a bit surprised when I saw Paul Townend jocked up to ride Key de Paris like you. It was a terrible race. He didn't jump great. I know he's a big horse. Round Tremor probably wouldn't suit him. Tight turning track, undulating, as we know. And obviously, Classic Getaway was quite keen, wasn't he, in the Lawlers when he finished 5th that day.
Grange Clare West.
Grange Clare West.
Same colours, no?
Same
easy
colours,
mistake to make,
yeah. It was late when I got home from Dundalk last night. But he was quite keen that day. Now, we saw Willie won it with a second string last year. Manila Crooner came out and won it. He made all. But for me, I think Nigel Twiston-Davies has the strongest form in the race, and he'll take a bit of beating.
Now, you are Davy Russell's agent, okay? It wasn't a great job to have a month ago, right? But it's not a bad job to have now. Not a bad job to have now. He rides American Mike here. American Mike is the big unknown quantity. If he hadn't ran a Navan, he would 100% be favoured here. I would say Frank, 6-4, even money shot he would be if he didn't run a Navan. What are you hearing about American Mike? What can we expect from American Mike today?
I don't know. It's a watching brief for me, to be honest about, because obviously that run was too bad to be true. As we know, there was a couple of little issues came to light after that Navan run. He didn't jump with any great fluency. You're going to laugh at me. Take out Facile Vega. We'll see him tomorrow. We'll talk about that in more detail tomorrow. I'm really strong in high definition tomorrow. Could be totally wrong and be laughed out of the place. The bumper form of last year.
Right.
There has to be a question mark about it. The Cheltenham bumper, take out Facile Vega, has worked out terrible. American Mike, that run was too bad to be true. To be fair, Too Bad to Be True was the first horse beat. Didn't jump in any great fluency in Navan. But what did he beat last year? That's the thing.
Well,
I'm going to watch American Mike today.
Okay.
I hope I was obviously out of a job when Davey retired briefly.
yeah,
so
poor fella.
He
You know
felt
what,
sorry for me.
We'll have a little collection
Jump back
for you.
in, yeah. I will take it, yeah.
Yeah.
Sterling, any euros, anything, loose change. Keep it coming. Here.
Yen.
And the Paddy Power Cup. But no, American Mike, it'll be a watching brief for me. I hope he does bounce back. But I do have a query about the bumper form last year. And I'll sit and watch him today. But for me, it's Nigel Twiston Davis all the way. Absolute Notion's not a bad horse of Gordon's as well, that won the Goffs Land Rover bumper last year. He's a real stayer. He could be maybe a bit of a price as the each way bet. But Nigel Twiston Davis for me. Go on, the English win the first.
Up the English. Okay, so there we go. 3 votes for We've All Been Caught in the opener, and I'm staying loyal to Sander Clegane, who I think has got a massive chance in the Albert Bartlett. So hopefully he'll do a latest exhibition and win this on the way. We're up and running. That is the opener at the Dublin Racing Festival. And moving on to the second race on the card, it is the 155. It is the Donoghue Marquis Spring Juvenile Hurdle, and it sees the reappearance of our red-hot Triumph Hurdle favourite, Lossiemouth, who looks, Paul Kealy, to be an exceptional juvenile.
Yeah, she was great, wasn't she? And the one thing post-punters knew is that she was never going to go anywhere other than the Triumph, because she won so early last year. She's not actually a novice. So she comes over here. She runs the first race for Willie Mullins, and is produced at the last and absolutely flies the last like a proper 2-mile hurdle, like you'd love to see. And then next time out, there's no hurdles in the straight, and she takes it up a long way out. So she can do it with a long run in. She can do it being produced from the last. She's got far and away the best form. And the other thing is, how many of these have got an eye on the Boodles? How close are they going to want to get?
Quite a few, I'd say.
You know what I mean? So I think she's pretty much bomb-proof, as the betting suggests.
Okay, and I do a show called Up in the Ante with Johnny Deneen, right? Who is not afraid. You see here on the screen, 4-11 Lossiemouth currently with Paddy Power. Johnny Deneen could get stuck into Lossiemouth at 4-11. Is Paul Kealy that type of punter?
No, I'll just watch it.
Okay, that's fair enough. What'll finish second?
Absolutely no idea. I might take a chance on one of the ones that's only run once.
Okay, fair enough. Kevin, what's your thoughts on Lossiemouth? Currently your 4-11 favourite, 7-2 Gala Marceau. It is 10-1 to Cow. Gustav Win 12-1, an unknown quantity from France. Ascending is 25-1, and it is 40-1 Bar. Is it as straightforward as the market suggests?
Yeah. Easy. We don't have to spend much time in this race.
Get a free £5 bet on the Paddy Power Gold Cup when you bet £5 on.
Been impressive both times. She went around in the bridle in the night Frank here at Christmas time, and I think it's both herself and Gallimar. So I thought she ran a cracker. Do the forecast. Lossiemouth, very good filly. She'll win the Triumph as well. Simple. We want Frank.
To the point. Kevin O'Ryan. Frank Hickey, is it as straightforward as Kevin suggests?
Probably. I think what's significant is we laid plenty of this for the Triumph before she ran at Fairyhouse. And you're kind of like, how short can it get without running? Yeah. But we found out at Fairyhouse why everyone wanted to back it. Look, from a betting point of view, 4-11 would be my type of bet. But I do think Gala Marceau without price ranges 4 to 6 to even money, depending on where. But I think that sort of price is very...
Depending on where you shop, says the Paddy Power man. Yeah.
But
Paddy be happy with that anyway, Frank.
Well, just saying, for people looking for a bet, even money or in and around even money is a very fair price. You have to remember too, in the night Frank, she was back from 8th, I think, the day before.
Hammered.
3-1. Yeah. She actually ran really well, considering it was her first run, I think since May, was it? I think she stepped forward for that. I'd fancy her strongly to be second.
Do you fancy Lossiemouth to win the Triumph Hurdle, or are you a Blood Destiny fan?
Probably more Lossiemouth to Blood Destiny this day.
Yeah, Lossiemouth getting the allowances off Blood Destiny. Blood Destiny's been very impressive, but just think he spends a bit of time in the air jumping over his hurdles. I think you won Lossiemouth. I think one is more class, but she's low and quick over her hurdles. Do the double. Get the price today. Win the Spring Juvenile and go on.
Yeah, the only sort of question mark would be the 2 races she won weren't maybe the most strongly run races, and if the Triumph developed into a real stamina test, can she win a race run like that? Would be the only question mark, but so far she's looked.
There'll only be 7 runners on the day though, won't there? It's not like the days of old when you had 30.
The myself days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you your Lossiemouth?
Yeah, I think she's. Yeah, I can't see what's going to beat her. There's nothing in England that's going to beat her.
No, definitely not. That is the Spring Juvenile Hurdle. It's going to be great to get another glimpse of Lossiemouth, and hopefully she is the real deal. And now we're going to move on to what I think is the race of the weekend. Obviously, Honeysuckle v Stateman v Vauban is going to be epic, but the Goffs Irish Arkle at 2:30. What a race we have in store. We've got Appreciated, who is currently our 6-4 favourite with Paddy Power. Dysart Dynamo with 7-2. Banbridge, plenty of money for that, into 5-1. El Fabiolo 11-2. It is 10-1 Sandois, 20-1 Flame Bear, 20-1 Fildor, and 40-1 Visionarian. Kevin O'Ryan, I am excited by this race, I have to say. This is the one race where I'll be a bit giddy now up in the stands as they're lining up here.
You know, I was giddy.
Well, I am. I'll be even giddier.
Yeah, I'll be little bit like you now. We don't agree on a lot of things, but I do agree this is the race of the weekend. I'm in Banbridge's camp, would you believe?
Right.
Yes, and I'll tell you why I'm in Banbridge's camp. One, the ground. Secondly, the race I think will be run to suit him because there's going to be plenty of pace on. He's a horse who might prefer a little bit further, but I think he's overpriced. I think he was a little bit bigger yesterday than the day before, Frank, was he?
He was, and then you backed him.
If I backed one, it'd usually make them drift out in price.
No.
But no, Banbridge, I think one, he jumps really well, but I think the ground is the key to him as well. And I just think there's a lot of pace in the race. You got Dysart Dynamo, obviously a free-going sort. Appreciated has made it. Flame Bear obviously made it as well the last day, and it just might be run to Banbridge's strengths, and it'll be a tested stamina here now, and they will be fairly strung out coming down over the last, I'd imagine. Plenty of pace on. Banbridge for me, JJ Slevin and Joseph O'Brien. I thought he was good at Cheltenham, and the run the Drinmore was a good run too, to be fair, but I think he's the value. And
also, you're not alone with your Banbridge fancy, because in today's Racing Post, there's Paul Kealy, but here is Tom Siegel, and Tom Siegel's headline tip, Mr. Price was in the Racing Post, Banbridge value to reign on Mullins' parade in Arkle. So Tom Siegel is a big Banbridge fan, but still buy the paper to read the other tips. I rang Patrick Mullins on Thursday, okay, to talk about Statler. So he's riding Statler in the Paddy Power Irish Gold Cup, okay, and as we were going through the Mullins horses over the weekend, we got to the Irish Arkle, and I thought it was a very good question. I said, if you had the pick of Willie's 5 in the Irish Arkle, which would you ride? He thought it was the most ridiculous question in the world. He said, oh my God, definitely Appreciate it. If you could offer me any ride in any race over the weekend, Frank Hickey, Patrick Mullins said he would ride Appreciate it. He would love a go on him. He thinks he's the real deal. I think he'll beat John Bond in the Arkle. I think he'll win this. Am I mad?
You're not bad, no. My worry would be is I think he'll probably be at his very best over maybe 2.5 miles. He's not like, look, you've relatively small sample, but I don't think he jumps like a real champion chase type horse. But he
do we know yet, though?
We don't know yet. We'll find out today for sure. I think the race will set up for him today, though, with all the pace. You've Visionarian and Dysart Dynamo are obviously going to go out and make it. They know no other way to go, really. I think Banbridge will sit behind with Flame Bear. So the pace will be strong, and it will really play to his strengths. I do think he's the most likely winner. You have to respect the way, like, Paul's picked it. Patrick's obviously going on about him so strongly. I think he's the most likely winner. I think Banbridge is one I'd be wary of, but I think good ground in the Turners would be absolutely ideal for him. You saw how much he improved for a bit of good ground at Cheltenham in a Martin Pipe, and he was very impressive there earlier in the year, winning over 2 miles. The only thing I would say about the Cheltenham form, he beat Tommy's Oscar, who did win a Grade 2 at Doncaster last week, but Tommy's Oscar is very much a flat track horse, didn't really love Cheltenham, either in the champion hurdler that day. I have had a bet on this at a big price, Flame Bear each way. Look, he was disappointing at Naas when he cut out really like between the last 2 fences, but it was 2.5 miles and it was really testing ground that day. I think Imperial Pass and the novice mare of Gordon's about the only 2 that didn't finish legless that day. And I thought he was much better at Fairy House. People were grabbing the time because he was 3 seconds slower than Rebel Gold. But if you watch the race, he's basically eased up from as soon as he turned into the straight, and he carried 11 stone 12, and Rebel Gold carried 10 stone 4. And Rebel Gold rated 144. Look, I'm not saying he'll win, but I think he's underestimated in the market, and I'd have him a bit shorter.
It is amazing how jockey bookings dictate markets so much. Like we see it in the Open Orchid de Paris. Here, like, just say if Danny was on Flame Bear would be 5-1. Like, it's mental, isn't it?
Yeah, look, to be fair, when you actually go through the trends, they don't get it wrong too often, like, you know. But at the same time, just from an ability point of view, there were whispers earlier on in the year that Flame Bear was working extremely well at home. So I think that's why he was so strong in the market that Naas, when Journey with Me, beat him. But yeah, I just think he's one that, like he was a good novice hurdler as well. He won a Grade 2, didn't he?
Won 2 Grade 2s.
Two Grade 2s, and was second to. Was it Stateman? He was second to. And his last run.
Well, he won at Fairyhouse at Decent.
Yeah, he was second.
Yeah, he
to
was second
Punchestown.
to Stateman,
Yeah, he was second to
Punchestown,
Stateman, Grade 1. So, like,
in Punchestown, yeah.
and like we all know how good Willie is, you'd imagine he'd get a bit of improvement out of him. So like just with, I think that run at Fairyhouse was much better than people thought. So and he jumped relatively well, bar the last.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, yeah.
20-1 with Paddy Power is Flame Bearer. That is Frank Hickey's tentative choice, but he's a big price, and we like big prices on the show. I should have said, as I was going to Tom Siegel, our other headline Racing Post tipster, Mr. Paul Kealy, looking very intuitive there in his glasses, on page 28 of today's Racing Post, also tips Banbridge. And there used to be, I know you used to have a bit of a joke yourself and Tom when you tipped one together, you rarely won. In the last year, when you and Tom have tipped the same horse, your strike rate is phenomenal.
Is it?
Phenomenal.
Oh, you've looked at that, have you?
I
give up. I just, it's not almost a wheel, shake my head when I see that we've tipped the same horse, because if you get it in there. But, I've really ruined my anti-post betting and these novice chases, the first horse I backed for the Turners novice chase was straight after Aintree last year, and that was John Bob. And the second horse I backed for the Turners was Banbridge. And if he wins this today, he could end up with the first two of the Arkle in the wrong race, couldn't he? And it's one of those. He looked so good at Cheltenham, and the time figure was pretty good. I still got it in my mind that he wants further, and he doesn't like soft ground, does he? He's really not a soft ground horse, so I'll forgive him that behind Mighty Potter, because that turned into a right stamina test. Gaillard de Menil coming through to take second. So I'd forgive him that. I think it's hard. He's obviously against, he's got these battalion of Willies. Four of them, all they've done though is win by wide margins at monster odds on against horses with no interest in getting anywhere near him. So they haven't had their jumping tested by anything. It's all going to be a change here. I think it would, personally, I think it'd be a bit disappointing if the best 2-mile novice chaser around was a 9-year-old.
Oh, but that's not his fault. He was injured.
No, yeah, I understand that. But you'd like to think there's a nice 6 or 7-year-old who's going to be around for 3 or 4 seasons, rather than one that's already 9 is going to be 10 at next year's festival. They're talking about going for the Gold Cup with him as well. So we're talking about a horse that's going to stay really well. It was another race that I didn't think the favourite deserved to be quite as short as he is, and obviously it's all the talk about how good he is at home might prove me wrong. But
how good he is at home. He's won a Supreme by 20-something lengths.
Yes, I understand that. But I mean, obviously, he's won a Supreme. He's had his problems, and he's won 2 Mickey Mouse races since. That's all he's done. Like, you know what I mean? So we have to find out whether he's still capable at the top level. And he hasn't yet been tested. He might be the best around. I mean, Forheem was one of the best around as a 12-year-old novice chaser, so it can be done. But I wouldn't touch him at 6-4. I've got to be honest.
Okay, you're a Banbridge fan.
I'm a Banbridge man.
So we have 2 votes for Banbridge. Kevin O'Ryan, very sweet on Banbridge, as is Paul Kealy, as is Tom Siegel. And Frank Hickey likes Flame Bearer at a big 20-1 with Paddy Power. And I am very much in the favourites camp. I am an appreciated fan. That is the Irish Arkle. It's going to be a corker. It's at 2:30 before the big one. And the big one, ladies and gentlemen, is indeed the Paddy Power Irish Gold Cup. And it sees the eagerly awaited return and first time over 3 miles over fences for Gallopin' the Champs. And who better to tell us all about Gallopin' the Champs than Ruby Walsh?
Get a free £5 bet on the Paddy Power Gold Cup when you bet £5 on the 120 at Leopardstown. Paddy Power.
Ruby Walsh, Gallopin' des Champs, favourite for the
What's
Gold
your
Cup,
nap
favourite for the
overall
Irish
in the day?
Gold Cup on Saturday. Tell us, how's he going?
They're going to do
He's in
graphic.
great form. Obviously, Paul Townend has picked him. Patrick Mullins will ride Statler. Danny's on. Franco DePort and Rachel Blackmore ride Kenboy. But look, he's in great form, PK. I think he's a much more mature horse this year. He jumped in Italy in the John Durkin. I think there's pace in there with Kenboy. He'll go a good enough gallop. Statler won't be too far away. Neither will Gallopin' the Champ. I can't see Paul dropping him in or anything, but I think he'll win. He's priced that way as well, though. So there's no value there.
So that is Ruby Walsh talking about Gallopin' the Champs on Paddy Power's excellent From the Horse's Mouth podcast. You can hear all about his views on the other races on that podcast as well. Where do we stand with Gallopin' the Champs, lads? Paul Kealy, I'm going to start with you because I know this is the exact type of horse that you love to take on because he's got a bit to prove, because, he's real sexy and he looks great, but he hasn't really, done it as a Gold Cup horse yet. I would suggest that you're going to be probably letting him win today, but you're definitely going to be taking him on the Gold Cup at
This
Cheltenham.
is exactly what I was going to say. I'm looking for, I'm kind of hoping that he wins by a mile so I can get stuck in at a short price for Cheltenham.
Why can he not win a Gold Cup?
Well, he can win a Gold Cup. He obviously can, but I mean, it's all about price, isn't it? I don't think we're going to learn anything about his ability to get 3 1/4 mile in a well-run Gold Cup over 3 mile here on decent ground in a small field. So we've still got that to prove. He has that wow factor about him. There's no doubt about that. I mean, he strode away from Fakir Dairy last time. Now I know Fakir Dairy was nowhere near top form. The presence of the third, only a couple of lengths behind, tells you that. But it doesn't matter. It's just the way he did it. There's no doubt about it. He's a superb horse. He has a tendency to jump very high. If you notice it, I think first 4 or 5 fences at Cheltenham last year, he gave the fences loads of it.
He wasn't good early.
Right, and he does have that tendency. Now you go up and down hills at Cheltenham, you can land steeply. We saw what happened to him at the last year. It was dreadfully unlucky. I'm not, and I'm certainly it's not the sort of thing I want to see happen again. But the other thing about jumping high is how much energy do you expend? And when you take that to 22 fences at Cheltenham over 3 1/4 mile, it might make a difference. I don't think we're going to find out here because I think he's head and shoulders above these. I'm not, I wouldn't be a massive fan of Statler, to be honest.
No?
No, not really, no. I think he's on the slow side. If I was going to have a bet in this race, it'd probably be without any second.
Oh, that's mine as well. I think that's the play.
He's a big price. Okay, he's an 11-year-old, but he's a classy horse, isn't he? So I would take him without. But I'd expect Galloping the Champ to win.
What a mammoth task it turned out to be, trying to give way to Noble Yates in last year's Grand National. They were miles clear of the third.
Miles clear of the third. He's a very good horse. Well worth his place in there, and I have a feeling that he might beat the others.
Yeah, I agree. Any second now without would be my play in the race. Kevin O'Ryan, where do you stand with Galloping the Champs?
Look, I think he'll win. It's very hard to take him on. It's very hard to oppose him. He's a 4-time Grade 1 winner. He was impressive winning the John Durkin. He done what we thought he would do first run of the season. And I think it's very hard to look past him. I just think he's a different league of these, to be honest. Willie Mullins is bidding to win the race for the 12th time. He's got Kemboy in it, who of course won the race, 2019 was it when he won the race, and he's getting on a bit in years as well, but he's Galloping the Champ all the way from me. He's the young pretender who's just on a different level to these, to be fair. If you're looking for something to bet without, maybe the likes of Fury Road, but I can't see Fury Road get anywhere close to Galloping the Champ, but it is quite open when you do take out Galloping the Champ. Maybe that's the way to go. Fury Road, I thought, run a cracker here in the Savills behind a stable companion. Conflated, he split Kemboy and Franco de Porton, finishing third that day. And he loved the ground, he jumps well, he stays well. I don't think he's good enough to win, but if you're looking for something, he'll be a little bit of value, will he? Without Galloping the Champ.
If I was to give you 50 quid right now, right? Just give you, and I might. Who would you put on for the Gold Cup?
Who would I put on for the Gold Cup? Galloping the Champ. I don't think there's any query about him staying. I think he's got plenty of class. I don't think so, yeah. I think he's uncomplicated. I think he's an easy ride. And, remember he won what? Didn't he win a Grade 1 at Punchestown as a novice over 3 miles?
He did. Statler well behind him that day.
Well behind him that day. I can't see an issue with him getting the extended trip in the Gold Cup. And for me, he sets a good standard. He's going to be very hard to beat.
Okay, excellent stuff. That is Galloping the Champs, who could do the big double for Kevin O'Ryan in the Irish and English Gold Cups.
Will I get that 50 quid off you?
Well, if 50 quid was all you were charging for these 2 days, I'd be very, very happy, let me tell you. Frank Hickey, what do you like?
Like, today isn't the day to take on Galloping the Champ. Look, he's been exceptional, but I'd probably be in the camp of I'd like to see him win really well and then go all out and try and
get him beaten at Cheltenham.
Lay him at Cheltenham, yeah.
Really?
Look, he's obviously exceptional, but there is that question mark about 3 1/4 miles. Like, even when you look at which race we run in last year as a novice, they picked the turners because he is, a bit exuberant and his jumping's really fast, and you just wonder, like, what would he be like if it turned, like, if it was a race run like last year's Gold Cup, it would really suit him. Joe, if it wasn't strongly run, if it was a really strongly run stamina test, you would have your question mark. Look, he'll win. I thought it was straightforward that he'd win and Statler come second, to be honest. I thought that run at Tremor was a mighty effort, considering I was surprised he didn't try and make all, considering 2-5 around Tremor would have been completely against Statler.
Yes.
And he was giving £8 to Melindo, and he really should have beat him. Yeah, he's improving. He's one I wouldn't discount for the Gold Cup itself either, but I thought it'd just be Galloping the Champ win and Statler come second.
How bad of a result is Galloping the Champs winning the Gold Cup at Cheltenham for Paddy Power?
Not too bad, because he's relatively short fairly quickly after Cheltenham and Punchestown. The ones where, like something like John Bond for the Arkle, it'd be worse because, you know, it was a little bit of a bigger price after Cheltenham and Aintree. So they're the ones that really you can build up a larger liability on.
I'm going to ask you a tough one now. At the moment, who is Paddy Power's worst loser for Cheltenham?
It was John Bond. I haven't looked in the last week or two to see.
John Bond, interesting.
John Bond.
Okay. Well, folks, that is the Paddy Power Irish Gold Cup at 3:05. It's going to be interesting. We're going to learn plenty, I think, about Galloping the Champs, because we'll see how he jumps over this trip. I know it's an extra 2 and a bit furlongs at Cheltenham, but hopefully we'll learn a little bit more anyway. And any day that Galloping the Champs runs is going to be extremely intriguing. So that is the Paddy Power Irish Gold Cup at 3:05. And now it's time to find out all about the Racing Post app.
Or do you still find, you still train jumpers? Watching jump races is almost tedious when you're used to things happening so fast on the flat.
They go on forever. Yeah, when I first
fast forward in real time.
When I first started having the jumpers, you're like getting halfway through the race and you're like, Jesus, still don't know what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
Frank, I love them shows, those Paddy Power rewind shows. There's a few great ones. That's the one with Joseph Ryan looking back on Ed Walt's win in the Irish Gold Cup. But there are some brilliant ones, you know, with Ruby, and Paul Carberry was another one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There's some great shows, isn't there?
Yeah, Mark.
You can sell it to your audience there if you want.
Oh yeah, Mark was done a great job putting them together. Yeah, they were great watch. Go onto the Paddy Power YouTube channel and you can see them all.
Very good, Frank. Very good, yeah. Nice little plug for the rewind videos with Paddy Power. But we have to move on. The 340, if you thought the Paddy Power Irish Gold Cup was easy, this is not. It is the race and stay at Leopardstown handicap hurdle. There are 18 runners, and it is, well, we say relatively wide open, but at the moment your 85 to 40 favourite is Maxim from the Gordon Elliott stable. Percival Le Galois is 5 to 1. Sam's Choice is 8 to 1, and it is 8 to 1. 8 to 1 Grozny as well, and then you're taking in Blue Sari. So Maxim, I suppose the big question here, Paul Kealy, is what the hell is he doing running? Because there are a lot of people on him for the Pertemps final at Cheltenham who thought he would take a lot of beating off his current mark, albeit obviously plus a few pounds in England, and now he's running here.
Yeah, well, this is it. I mean, he's £7 higher in England already. He's got a witness of 138, which is £18 higher than he was last time. He could have been put up a lot more though, couldn't he? Because he
could. And this Keen Quirk is the business.
Is he? Is he? I
I
don't know anything about.
He gave a horse a ride for the Bows in Fairy House a couple of weeks ago, and it was glorious. Absolutely glorious. He is very good, isn't he, Kevin?
Yeah, he's very good.
You know your jockeys.
Yeah. So I mean, the thing is, right? If he goes and scoots up in here, he goes up again. Now, why didn't Gordon Elliott put him in a stayers hurdle? Or does he just think I can afford another £7 and we'll win the Pertemps anyway? He did win.
Or does he say to himself, "There's 60 grand to the winner of this race.
Well,
this is the Dublin Racing Festival.
It's worth the same.
Yeah.
Maybe he's got something else for the Pertemps. Like, we don't know. But he did win the Pertemps with Sidhu Burley off 152. So 145 in Ireland, 145 in Britain at the moment. Maybe he thinks he has got another £7 up his sleeve. I struggle to get involved at massive field handicaps at that sort of price. And I did quite like another Elliott runner in the race, Sam's Choice.
Oh, I like a different one.
A real nearly man early doors, got second. But this was all prominent racing, and then finally dropped out last time and just came through a win on the same day as Maxim. Won very easily, going away. And I think they might have found out the way to ride him. He's only up 7. I think the form is strong enough. Dennis O'Regan on to drop him out. We know exactly what he'll be doing. So, I thought he'd come through, and I thought, each way with extra places, I thought he was the way to play.
Excellent. 8 to 1 with Paddy Power currently. Sam's Choice for Paul Kealy. Gordon Elliott is a very strong hand here, Kevin. I personally like O'Fleuron, who I think is really well handicapped. I like Kieran Buckley as well. He takes off £3. Good young rider. With O'Fleuron, 3 things actually. Ground, left-handed, 3 miles. He's been crying out for those 3 things. He gets all of those today. kicked a few hurdles out of the ground last time. Stayed on nicely, I thought, at Punchestown. He's good form from last season with Banbridge. He beat Hador in the maiden hurdle at Navan. I think O'Fleuron is a big player here. What do you like?
No, I agree with you. The reason I say Gordon, there's no doubt about why he's running Maxim here. 59 grand to the winner. It's
He's like yourself. He likes money.
We all love money, and anybody who tells you they don't love money is definitely telling you lies. But like, it's 59 grand. It's a no-brainer to run him here as well. He absolutely bolted up, as we know, in the Pretemps. When he won for Gordon, his first win for Gordon was it off 103 at Navan. He's now running off 138.
Yeah.
I think Percival Legal was a big chance now. He's 25 lengths behind, obviously, Gordon's horse the last day in that Pretemps. But that was his first run since September time. He's the choice of Mark Walsh. I know probably that wasn't great. There's only 3 JP horses in it, but this is Mark Walsh's first day back riding as well today after suffering rib injuries at Leopardstown here at Christmas time as well, in the middle part of the festival week. But I think Percival Legalwa is open to more improvement. I see where you're coming from off O'Ryan. He's definitely well handicapped.
Yeah.
He's a big player. Sam's Choice. Jack Kennedy, would you believe, was mad fancy in Sam's Choice here at Christmas time in his handicap debut. I thought Sam's Choice would get beaten a walkover up until then, because there was a couple of times during the summer he was running those ordinary maiden hurls. He started sharp prices. He just didn't look to be the most genuine to me, but fair play to Jack Kennedy. That's why he's such a good rider. He was mad keen on Sam's Choice here the first day. The last day, on handicap debut that he won. I think Dennis will suit him down to the ground as well. He'll kid and cajole him along, and he won't even know he's in the race till probably coming down to the last as well. You'll see him coming late. I'm going to go Percival Legalwa, but I don't have a strong opinion in the race. Gordon's horse never come off the bridle the last day, but he does set a very good standard. But I don't know, I'm sitting on the fence for this.
Okay, just about Percival Legalwa.
Just about.
Just about for Kevin O'Ryan. Now, Frank Hickey, right? I've known you a long time, right? 18 runners, handicap hurdle, big festival like the Dublin Racing Festival. This has Frank Hickey's name written all over it. Now, build you up, right? Don't let me down.
Right, we've 6 places here as well. So when you have a 2-to-1 favourite, 6 places, you got to go looking for something each way.
What have you found?
I've 2. I've backed
Beautiful.
2. I've backed 2 against it. First one's Freedom to Dream. Second in the Grade 2 at Limerick last Christmas 2021. Was 4th here in the Tannin Lacey. 4th in the Martin Pipe off 135. Chasing hasn't worked out. He's back over hurdles. Michael Sullivan's taken 5 off, stealing 5. And he's running off a mark of 131. I thought he's well handicapped.
11-1 currently at the moment.
That's where Fran Berry was getting it from, all the way to Dundalk last night. If he wasn't talking about Dr. Grace, he was talking about freedom of speech. So obviously you and Fran are in coach. He got that idea from you, I'd say.
Just a good form judge, maybe.
2 Shrudies.
Look, you're taking a chance on coming back from chasing, but he is handicapped to run well. And the other one is another chaser coming back over hurdles. It's Max Flamingo.
Yeah, what has happened? He's lost the plot.
He's lost the plot, and you're taking a bit of a chance. But again, he's around the 20-to-1 mark. Like, he was 7th in an Irish National off a mark of 144. He runs here off 127. He's won a maiden hurdle at Leopardstown. Yeah, he's running Grade 1s as a novice and not been disgraced. And just from a handicapping point of view, 127 is a mark he's definitely capable of running well from. So they were the 2 I had. Now, Freedom's Dream's been very well backed. I think he was 25-1
what price you
at
back?
Thursday evening. I didn't get 25-1.
What did you get?
20-1.
Oh, you poor fella. 11-1 now with Paddy Power. So Freedom Stream, Max Flamingo, your 2 stabs at the handicap hurdle. Your Percival Legawa.
It's an unoriginal choice. I'm not strong in anything. I do see where the upside to Max Flamingo is. He's 144 over fences, running off 127 over hurdles. I thought he was going to turn into obviously that was a cracking run in the Galway Plate last year, in the Irish National, where he didn't stay, did he, to be fair?
Not really, I don't think so.
Yeah, I remember Jack Kennedy won one of them, was it Killarney, early on in the season. I thought he was going to be a Galway Plate horse, but he just has lost his way for one reason or another. But you do know he has the ability there.
Yeah, if he's completely lost his confidence, maybe you're taking a chance. You're getting 20-1 about him. Do you know what I mean? It's not like you're taking a sharp price. If he did bounce back to anywhere near his best, he'd be very well handicapped.
Interesting. That is Max Flamingo, and it is Sam's Choice for Paul Kealy and O'Fleuron for me in that big handicap hurdle. It's going to be competitive. There's plenty of big price to 6th place with Paddy Power, so you've got a decent chance of picking up something anyway, Frank.
Hopefully.
Yeah, you can't beat the old 6 places. So moving on to the penultimate race in the card. Your favourite word, actually, Kevin O'Ryan. Kevin O'Ryan says penultimate more than any other word. When you're doing the Elf ratings, the penultimate race on the card, you do like penultimate, don't you?
I do, yeah. My vocabulary I wouldn't have that big of.
I won't ask you to spell it.
Yeah.
But moving on to the penultimate race on the card, as Kevin O'Ryan would say, and he'll say it today, I guarantee he'll say it today. It is the Paddy
Promise I
Power
won't.
Cheltenham Fan Zone Handicap Chase, and it sees a Wave of the Sea coming back for trying to complete the hat-trick in this race. You know what's unbelievable, I have to say? A Wave of the Sea seems like he's been around forever. He's just turned 7.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. We may check that birth cert, I think, on the Wave of the Sea. But he's currently favourite at the moment with Paddy Power. He was a much bigger price earlier on in the week. He's 130 joint favourite with Phil's Dudare. Get My Drift is on the drift a little bit out to 7-2 with Paddy Power. It is 13-2 final order, 7-1 Rebel Gold, and it is 14-1 Bar. Now, Frank, we were speaking about this before we came on air, and I said to you, I think the best handicapped horse running today is Get My Drift, who has had his 3 runs in beginner's chases, 2 okay ones, 1 awful one, I have to say, in a rated novice chase at Punchestown. If he puts it all together and gets into a rhythm early, I think he's going to be very hard to beat.
Oh, I 100% agree. He's definitely the best handicapped horse in the race. The run behind Hollow Games, he was third, was very eye-catching. It was a little bit disappointing in his next start in a race you would have thought he'd have gone close in, but thought it was a bit better the last day, and I'd be very surprised if he's not very well handicapped. And he's run well here before. I think the second handicap hurdle behind was it Bride's Hill, and the third that day was Surprise Package, who went out and bolted up in the Imperial Cup on his next start. Yeah.
Did he win his maiden hurdle here as well at Christmas, I think?
He did.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah, so he likes it here. You'd imagine he'd been on my radar for a handicap. Starts off a fair mark, it's 130. Be surprised if he's at least 140 horse. So, the one thing is, Wave of the Sea is going for his third win in the race, and he did win Didn't he win the Grade 1 juvenile as well when Aspire Tower fell? So he's going for his 4th win at the festival.
And he beat his stable companion, the Chestnut horse, now with Aston Leahy. What's his name? Cerberus, no? Did he pull up?
No,
as soon as Cerberus hit the front.
Do you remember Aspire Tower fell?
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
That's right.
Cerberus hit the front, pricked his 2 ears, pulled himself
Wave of
up.
the Sea.
Yeah.
And Wave of the Sea came and mugged him.
That's right. Good knowledge, Kev. Will he win here?
He's a big player. He's only 2 pounds higher than last year. And Aidan Kelly, we were speaking about Keane Quirk. There's 3 claimers over hurdles over jumps that's really impressed me this season. Keane Quirk, obviously, we spoke about. Aidan Kelly and Dan King as well.
Are you agent for any of them?
No, I only look after, 2. Briefly 2 at the moment. Davy Russell, since he's made me redundant, then came back out of retirement, and Jack Kennedy when he comes back. So they're only the 2 jump jockeys I look after.
2 okay ones to have, though.
2 okay ones to have. One of Davy for much longer.
And just the 32 on the flat.
And just a little bit lower than that. But
they're the 3 lads to watch out for.
No, I think so. I think I've been really impressed with these guys for a while, and Aidan Kelly's only really got going now this season, along with Keane Quirk as well. And he's based at Paddy Roach and the Curragh, Aidan Kelly. He rides a clever race, to be fair, and he's getting plenty of opportunities now off JP McManus as well. He's a big player as well. I'd love to see Rebel Gold win it.
Yes.
I do agree with what you say about Get My Drift. He's 2 pounds lower, rated 2 pounds lower over fence than he is over hurdles. First run the handicap, though, maybe today could be a watching brief for him, taking on more experienced horses. Rebel Gold, my slight concern is the ground for him. I'd love a bit more juice in the ground for him. And Pat Foley's horse couldn't be in better form. He's had 3 winners since the turn of the year. And Rebel Gold, who ran a cracker in the Leopardstown chase last year, was only third that day, wasn't he?
I think he was 5th, was he? But he travelled really well into the weekend.
Mightn't have just got home.
Yeah.
And I think he's a big player. He won the Dan and Joan Moore at Fairy House a couple of weeks ago as well, to give Pat Foley his biggest winner. He's had 3 winners since the turn of the year. I think he's a big player. Him and a Wave of the Sea.
And you're a Wave of the Sea fan as well.
Yeah, massive fan of a Wave of the Sea. I mean, it's just, he's out of form every year until he comes here, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he just seems to like it this time of year. He's got 3 in a row. He's had a pretty similar prep to last year, running in all the same races over further. Well beaten last time, but he was disputing a lead 3 out over 3 mile last time. He's dropped it back to 2 mile 1 again here. Last 2 wins in this race, he had a claimer riding for the first time. And he's got that again with this Aidan Kelly. Glad to see that Kev likes him. So yeah, he's got to have a great chance. I've backed a rag in the race called Jody Ted. Now, if he runs the way he's run on his last 2 starts, he won't be in the picture when they jump in the last. But if he runs the way he ran when he won at Clonmel, he's going to go very close, because that race worked out really well and he won it very, very easily. The third one next time, the fourth was second in a 20-length fourth as well, was second in a 25 grand handicap at Leopardstown over Christmas. So it's a decent piece of form to be given a starting handicap mark of 123. All he's got to do is reproduce it. Now, the last 2 runs you've got to be fairly negative about it, but he has actually won 3 of his last 7 runs in the past 12 months, because he won 2 over 3 over hurdles in the spring. So the ability's there, and if he comes back, he was 33 last night, he's 14 now. So I certainly wouldn't want to go any shorter than that, because he's a genuine outsider. But if he reproduces that run, he's a big danger.
There you go, 14-1 currently with Paddy Power. Jody Ted for Paul Kealy, who's also a massive fan of A Wave of the Sea. Is 132 short now for A Wave of the Sea?
I think he's about right. He was twice, he was 32-7-1 when the prices came out, and I think that was just wrong, given his record. He's about right now. I don't see him getting any shorter. He might, it wouldn't surprise me if it was 4-1 the field at the off.
And it is A Wave of the Sea just about ahead of Rebel Gold for Kevin O'Ryan. And for myself and Frank, we're very much in the Get My Drift camp and very much hoping he will not drift. Because we want him to stay at that price, or even shorten, I think, don't we?
Definitely. I would give a mention to Final Orders. Gavin Cromwell's having a right good spell again.
Yeah.
He's having a great season, but they're red hot the last couple of weeks, and he was very impressive here at Christmas, so I wouldn't discount him, even though he's gone up a fair bit.
Up 20, isn't he? And he's, 4 from 5 over fence?
Yeah, he's won his last 4, so he's going the right way as well.
Excellent. You can make a case for plenty in that handicap chase. And moving on to the finale, it is the 440. It is the Future Stars bumper, and this grade 2 often throws up a star. And we saw one last year in Facile Vega, even though Kevin O'Ryan doesn't think he's going to win tomorrow. But you'll have to stay tuned tomorrow to find out Kevin O'Ryan's thoughts on Facile Vega in that Tattersalls Ireland novice hurdle. But the Future Stars this year, it's quite open. Factifile, Patrick Mullins on Factifile currently are 3-1 favourite, with Paddy Power 3-1 joint favourite, because Farron Lilly has been very well backed into 3-1. Facile Mode is 4-1. It is 5-1 Better Days Ahead, who I actually thought might be favoured. Chosen Witness is 13-2, and it is 10 or 12-1 Bar Doze. So this is the big thing here, Frank Hickey, that Patrick Mullins had obviously the choice of quite a few. Chosen Witness originally was favourite with you guys, I think, in the anti-post market. Patrick Mullins moved to Factifile, and now he's favoured. Is he kind of the horse that's going to be a big plunge today, do you think, Factifile?
But look at connections, Willie Mullins, Patrick Mullins, JP McManus, you can see it being popular. And look, this race has been run 5 times. It's won by the favourite 5 times, 4 times by Willie, ridden by Patrick, so he hasn't got it wrong in this race. I just thought he was more of a stayer when he won here at Christmas. It was 2.5 miles, and Irish Panther travelled all over him that day. Looked all over.
Razzie until the furlong.
Like as in, he's a horse I had kind of my radar now for the Cheltenham bumper, but he hasn't been entered since, so I don't know what the story is. But Factifile needed all the 2.5 miles in soft ground. You just think, dropping back and trip on better ground, has he the pace for this? I'd be wanting to take him on now with him being favourite.
What are you taking him on with?
I think Facile Mode's getting to a price now. Look, it was his debut, but what was interesting is he was 100-1 when he was put in first for his debut, and that was backed, and he was very well backed with us into, I think he got into like 12 or 10-1, drifted a little bit. And
like, what would have been the biggest bet you would have taken at 100-1? You wouldn't take 200 quid at 100-1, would you?
But it'd be more, yeah, you wouldn't probably take 200 quid, but you'd have lots of 20s, 50s, 50s.
It all adds up, Frank.
It all adds up very quickly when it's 100-1. But he was very well backed, and it was a significant loser on the day as well. And you have to respect that the money came from a relatively smaller yard, and it did win well. And everything bar the second, Lecky Watson, who had won but was demoted, and everything else had won a race previous. So the form looked strong.
Did the race fall apart a little bit though? None of Gordon's ran well. Willie's was keen. Did it, obviously to win on debut against winners is a fair achievement, but did the race fall apart a tiny bit?
I don't know, like the time figure is pretty good as well. I'd be more of a believer that he's a good horse.
Okay.
And just when you're looking at Fernelli, got beaten here by Ida Lantique, is it? Showed plenty of promise now, but at the same time, to have the two of them ahead of him in the market, I think, is more connections than actually what they've achieved. The one I'd actually back, and again I'm taking a chance, is Special Caddo, because that was third to Facile Mode, giving £7. that had won on debut at Huntington for Pam Sly. It's actually it's by Nathaniel out of Specioso, won a guinea, so it's not really bred to be running in a bumper. But it went for 220 grand after winning a Huntington bumper and was off for, I think, 400 days before finishing third. I thought it travelled really well and it looked like the run was needed here at Christmas. Obviously £7 better off with the winner, and obviously Charlie Mullins doesn't claim either. So I thought just at the prices that had an each way chance. But for me, Facile Mode's getting out to a price now where you'd probably have to step in and back it.
So 14-1, a special cadeau. Frank Hickey gives a shout out to, but Facile Mode, who is 4-1 currently with Paddy Power, would be Frank's #1 choice. And for Kevin O'Ryan, send us home with a winner. Send people home happy. There's a lot of people that are going to be going out having a good time tonight. They want their drinking money, they want their steak money. What are they going to go home with?
Facile Mode.
Right. You said that very convincingly. You looked me dead straight in the eye.
Yeah, very impressed with him when he won. This is a cracking renewal of the bumper. Like, there's 9 runners, 8 of them have won bumpers. The other one was second in the bumper is Farnelli, of course, and she was winner of a pint of pints. So basically, there's 9 winners in the race. I was very taken by him. And remember, Tom Mullins actually said to me a couple of weeks beforehand, of course, forgot all about it, that I have a very smart bumper horse by walking the park. I didn't get any 100-1 or 12-1 or anything because I forgot all about it. First I realised when he went by the line. And
Nothing
I said,
worse.
What a clown.
Nothing
It was a busy
worse.
week, exactly. But I was very impressed with him. And Tom Mullins, he's a hell of a good trainer.
So
Tom
shrewd,
Mullins.
yeah.
Hell of a good trainer. He's an unbelievable record with his runners in Leopardstown, actually. Let it be his flat runners, let it be his jumping runners. And I was just really taken by this horse that day. Now, you made a very good point. Gordon's horses didn't run well that day. They stopped quite quickly in that bumper, and maybe the race did fall apart a little bit, but it was still a big ass, pitched in, thrown into the deep end. It was a winner's bumper. This horse was well supported. He showed signs of greenness when Charlie went from. He ran around a little bit, as you would expect. I think he's going to improve again from it, and I think he's going to be very, very hard to beat. And
You're
for
sweet
me,
on him.
he's one of the best bumper horses I've seen win this year. Bumpers are very hard to equate this year because a lot of them is either Willie or Gordon, and the rest of them don't really count, is it? The bumpers aren't as competitive as they used to be, and the reason being is because a lot of these horses are gone down the pint route, so they're not. You don't get the big fields and bumpers anymore. You've really only got 2 or 3 at the top of the market, and the rest of them are big prices. So it's only now, unlike that winner's bumper at Christmas time, when these winners are now being pitched in against each other, that you will see how strong the actual bumper form is. I agree with Frank about Factor File. Now, Patrick rarely gets it wrong, but he looked like he needed every yard
significantly,
2.5 miles.
apparently, since Christmas. Patrick and Willie have both said in their comments leading up to the race that the reason Patrick is riding Factor File was because of his work at home has improved drastically since Christmas, so that's obviously a positive.
And you have to respect that because Patrick very rarely gets it wrong. But he did look to me like he needed every yard of 2.5 miles. But no, I'm in Tom Mullins' camp, Facile Mode. I think that will be very hard to beat. I was just very taken by that performance for a maiden to win a bumper, a winner's bumper, first time out, and he won well that day. I know what you're saying about Special Cadeau, that ran a cracker, and he's meeting £7 better terms now today, obviously, because Charlie can't claim, but Facile Mode for me to win for Tom Mullins in the last.
Well, Kealy, you just said to me there that we're absolutely frozen. It is absolutely freezing here. Whenever breeze is coming in, my feet are like lumps of ice. So they are, right?
Warm here.
So what is going to warm us up in the bumper?
Well, you know me, Dave. I don't like bumpers, do I? A waste of time. I get them over hurdles.
Not just play to the cameras, no?
No fan. As Frank was saying, Special Cadeau, if you actually take the jockeys into account and what claim they're having, or the fact that none of them are claiming, he's actually £11 better off. And that's enough for me each way at 14-1. But it'll be a £5 each way.
Okay. Why are we forgetting about Better Days Ahead? Like, Better Days Ahead beat the Chapeau Desai, who was favoured for the champion bumper before he ran.
Chapeau Desai stayed straight. He'd have bolted up that day.
That's a big shout now. The winner won easy, like that's a big shout.
To be fair, there's been about 10 anti-post favourites to the bumper this year so far.
No, I agree. He could have. It would have been a real race.
He couldn't steer him. He was hanging at the gate all the way around. And when turning into the straight, Patrick Mullins actually did he grab him by the ring of the bit?
Yeah.
His right hand to keep him straight, to basically drag him around the bend at Ferry House.
All right. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm
James
sorry.
kicked. Looked like he put the race to bed. The penny didn't drop. He didn't straighten him up, I don't think, until he got into the wings of the last hurdle. flew home. Another 2 strides would have been up.
You
Now,
finished
better
it.
times ahead.
Another 2 strides. I'm going to show you the race after the show.
He's beaten.
You won me about 3 or 4 lengths.
Okay, another 6 strides. He couldn't steer him all the way.
I'm sorry for fancying better days ahead, okay? I'm
No, no,
sorry.
no,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
not-
No, you told me there's no chance now,
I
right?
didn't say he's no chance.
Well, I was
he's an each way
paraphrasing.
chance.
Yeah,
I was
Well,
paraphrasing.
Chapeau Desai, to me, on the race that day, Better Times Ahead is very highly regarded, as we know.
Yeah.
But watching the race that day, if Chapeau Desai could have stayed straight, he was an absolute handful. To me, he would have won.
Okay.
Another 6 strides he's been up. Forgot it was 3 lengths.
Like what's interesting though is Ruby's on the Paddy Power Countdown to Cheltenham podcast, and
Nice little plug there. Well done, Frank. Yeah.
Mark Walsh will be delighted with me.
Yeah.
And he was tipping up. What's the name of the horse? Sorry,
Hurry up now,
Chosen Witness.
we have 3 minutes left.
Chosen Witness.
Chosen
for
Witness,
the
yeah.
Cheltenham bumper. So I just think it's interesting that, look at the price that is there. Even you're kind of thinking, he was impressive at Limerick.
Yeah.
And the Mags Mullins horse that was second was well backed. And you'd always pay attention when the Mags Mullins bumper newcomer is well backed, and absolutely bolted up, beating it by 10 lengths. Now, whether it needs heavy ground is one thing, and it was 2.25 miles. But just to me, maybe suggests that, I don't know, do they know which one is actually the best at home there?
Maybe not. Well, a vast array of opinions, but Kevin says Better Days Ahead can't win.
I didn't
no
say
chance.
that, did I say that? No,
Absolutely no
did
chance.
not
He's
say
a-
Throw me money
He's
in
an
the
each
bin.
way
He's
bet.
a million villain.
A million. And would have only finished about 6th on his run of Fairy House.
No, he'd
if,
have finished second.
I'm only joking.
He's
Bit
an
of
each
friendly
way
banter in
chance.
the mornings.
Exactly.
All that's left to do now is reveal our naps for day 1 of the Dublin Racing Festival. Frank Hickey, take it away.
We've all been caught in the first.
Okay, so he's striking early. Frank Hickey, we've all been caught in the opener. Kevin O'Ryan.
Facile mode in the finale.
Facile mode for Kevin O'Ryan. For Paul Kealy.
A Wave of the Sea, 4 out of 4 at the Dublin Racing Festival.
A Wave of the Sea. And I'm going with a big one. I'm going with All Fluron in the handicap hurdle. That's it. We're back tomorrow.
Yep.
We're back tomorrow. You're at a wedding today.
I'm at a wedding later today, yeah.
Will you get to see any racing?
I will. I'm babysitting until hopefully 3 o'clock.
Okay.
And then I'll try and get Jill to drive so I can watch a couple of races in the car.
You've the suit ready. You didn't wear it this morning anyway.
No suit, no.
No.
Hanging up waiting to go.
Okay. Kevin, looking very dapper. I presume you're as busy as ever.
Yeah, busy away. Looking forward to the weekend. This is a cracking weekend, as we said, and I genuinely would love, as I said at the top of the show, to see an English train winner. And for the simple reason is we need to see more English horses coming over here. Wonderful weekends racing. If you're thinking about coming, you haven't decided yet, make sure come to Leopardstown either today or tomorrow, and you're going to have some sport. There's going to be some entertainment here.
Plenty of time to decide as well, because it's
Yes,
9:30. You can have the breakfast, have a shower, and you
Have
still
a
have plenty
pint
of
on
time
the
to
way
get
if you're
here.
living in Dublin or close by.
Now, are you business or pleasure this weekend now?
Oh, business and pleasure.
Okay.
Obviously. I can mix the two.
Yeah, I've seen you mix the two. Yeah, I've seen you writing tipping
I've got
articles in a bar.
Yeah, exactly. I've got to find some winners for tomorrow first, but then I could well be in this marquee for the rest of the afternoon.
Oh, excellent stuff. Well, we're back here tomorrow morning for day 2 of the Dublin Racing Festival. We will be previewing all 8 races tomorrow. We've got an extra one tomorrow. But that was our day 1 preview of the Dublin Racing Festival. This was Good Morning Dublin. My thanks to Frank Hickey, to Kevin O'Ryan, to Paul Kealy. I've been David Jennings, and thanks for watching.